Today I want to talk to you about a high limit credit card that pulls TransUnion. How do you get one with fair credit? It's very important, so you're just sitting there, you want a high limit credit card that pulls TransUnion, and you have fair credit, you have average credit. You want to listen to this conversation because I'm going to spill all the beans that you need to hear to actually qualify. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweaty Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka, and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to talk to you about a high-limit credit card that pulls TransUnion. How do you get one with fair credit? Okay, here are the steps I want you to follow, boss. I want you to really pay attention here. So first, we need to have a clear idea about what we're talking about. You need to check your TransUnion score and make sure it is accurate. This is important. You want to be very specific here. We're not really we want to focus on TransUnion to make sure that we have an accurate score. This is really important. And the cool thing is you can actually get a free credit score from a TransUnion actually once a year or whenever you apply for credit and you get denied. Okay, you have to go to annualcreditreport.com. There's a website that is federally mandating the availability of credit reports to you. Okay, so once a year or whenever you get denied. Okay, so this is really important. So so once you go to annualcreditreport.com, you can actually check what's in there, what's in your TransUnion credit score. This is important. You can actually understand what your credit score is made up of. You can understand how the score is calculated. Okay, what actually affects your credit score the most in terms of your payment history. Very important. Your payment history, and also your CUR, your credit utilization ratio. This is important. Also, your credit mix also is important in terms of affecting your credit score. And the thing here, one thing you need to understand is that your TransUnion credit score may not be the same as your score with Equifax or Experian, because every credit bureau actually has they have their own algorithm. They have their own computing models that will actually give a score. But this really should not be a problem as long as you have a clear idea what it's in your TransUnion credit score. You should be good to go. It is important because you want a high limit credit card that pulls TransUnion, that pulls TransUnion primarily, right? I mean, they could look for your FICO score with other bureaus, but they pull TransUnion primarily. So you need to have a clear idea of what's in your TransUnion credit score. And if you find issues or some inaccuracies, whatever, you want to systematically and reflexively file dispute letters. This is important. You need to file a dispute. Okay, very important. The second step is you need to take care of your other FICO scores. So TransUnion is the primary scores that we want to focus on here, but you got to have a clear idea also what's in Equifax or Experian, because remember, if you just happen upon a bank or a credit union that wants to pull TransUnion primarily, but also pulls other CRAs secondarily, you might be in trouble if you have an issue if you have a derogatory item that is unsolved on your Equifax or Experian credit bureau, on your Experian credit score. So this is really important. You need to have a clear idea what's in there. Okay, the cool thing is you can get your FICO score for free. Actually, you don't have to pay for it. I mean, I spoke to you about annualcreditreport.com. That's something that's available, but you can also sign up for other services. Yeah, for example, you can get your FICO score for free through a couple of institutions. And the cool thing is you don't have to be a member. You don't have to be a card holder. You don't have to have any sort of a relationship with them to qualify for that. For example, you have Credit Karma, which is it gives you a free access to your score. You have a Nerd Wallet. You have a Wallet Hub. Okay, those players, they usually just get your data and they will push some kind of ads to you, some kind of solicitations for credit cards or loans, whatever. But as long as you're fine, you don't click on it, you don't apply, you're fine. Okay. But they make money through their business model is based on advertising, pushing some credit products to you. So besides those three, the Credit Karma, NerdWallet, Wallet Hub, you also have the Discover Credit Scorecard. Oh yeah, yeah. Discover Credit Scorecard is great. I mean, they give you access to your FICO credit score for free. You don't have to have a relationship with Discover Card. Okay, the program is free, whether you are a Discover customer or not. This is what we love with this thing. You also have American Express credit cards. This you need to have a relationship with them, but once you do have a relationship with them, you have access to your FICO score for free. Okay, if you have Citibank credit cards, you have a Bank of America, you have most credit unions will give you access to your credit cards for free, or to your credit reports for free. Okay, Ally Bank. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you here is that you have a large constellation of places where you can get your FICO score for free, your FICO scores for free, from Experian and Equifax. Obviously, you want to spend 75% of your time on your TransUnion credit score, but you want to spend also 25% of your time on your Experian and Equifax. You just want to make sure that you cover all bases. You never know, in case there are issues with your Experian or Equifax credit reports and scores. At least you have a chance to actually fix them. The third thing I want you to do is you need to actually filter, you need to zero in on the issuers that pull TransUnion. We're talking about the credit card issuers that pull exclusively or primarily TransUnion. Okay, and you have a large constellation of institutions, but I'm going to just talk about a few of them here. So you have Navy Fed. So with Navy Fed, you have access to a large catalog of credit cards. Okay, you have Navy Federal Cash Rewards. You have Navy Federal Visa Signature Flagship Rewards. You have Navy Federal Credit Union Platinum. You have Navy Federal Credit Union Gold Rewards. You have Navy Federal Credit Union More Rewards Amex from American Express. So the first institution that pulls TransUnion is Navy Fed. Okay. Besides Navy Fed, you also have U.S. Bank. So U.S. Bank also pulls TransUnion primarily. So you have, in terms of credit cards that this institution offers, you have U.S. Bank Cash Plus Visa Signature Card. You have U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve Card. You have U.S. Bank Visa Platinum Card. You have U.S. Bank Altitude Gold Visa Card. You also have Regions Bank that pulls TransUnion also. And in terms of Regions Bank, they have a lot of interesting credit cards. They have Regions Cash Rewards Visa Credit Card. They have Regions Life Visa Credit Card. They have Regions Premium Visa Signature Credit Card. And they have Regions Explore Visa Credit Card. And you also have a few institutions that actually pull TransUnion. I'm not just going to go through all the credit cards that they offer. I'm just going to give you some institutions that pull TransUnion, so you have a clear idea. And if you are interested, if you qualify for membership, because some of these are credit unions, and you need to qualify for membership. If you qualify, you can just go on their website and see what kind of credit cards they have. Okay, so you have Synchrony. You have Consumers Credit Union. You have BECU, the Boeing Employees Credit Union. So you have Alliance. You have Teachers FCU, Teachers Federal Credit Union. And you have Lake Michigan. So this is a non-exhaustive list of financial institutions that pull TransUnion. The fourth thing I want you to do, boss, is you need to check eligibility criteria for the top credit card providers that you have chosen. It's very important. Okay, eligibility is really important. So generally you have a few factors. So you have age. You got to be at least 18 years old of age. Okay. I mean, some credit unions have a minimum requirements of 21 years, and some banks also. So you really want to check the eligibility criteria for the bank that you have chosen. Your annual salary, very important. Okay. It really depends. We've seen minimum of 10 grand a year gross income for banks and credit unions to actually qualify you. Okay, you have to also have your nationality or residential status. So citizens, residents, and non-residents can apply. Okay. However, there are a few cards that are only available for U.S. citizens. So you have to be very clear about your relationship, your situation in this state to actually qualify. Okay, and there are some factors that affect your credit card eligibility. We're talking about your credit score. Okay, your existing debt, your employment, your location. Remember, we are talking about a high limit credit card that pulls TransUnion. Okay, and if you want to get it, you have to take care of your existing debt. You got to take care of your employment. You got to take care of your credit score. This is really, really important. Okay, and one thing I want to say also is that there are a few documents that are required for a credit card application. So you want to have the completed application form. Okay, and you might want to have some ID. You might want to have proof of identity. And you might have to provide proof of residence. Some credit card issuers want you to have a utility bills or your driver's license or whatever. They want to see your pay stubs also. Okay, this is really important. And in some cases, they might want to have a clear copy of your bank statements. One thing I want to say here is that you always want to apply for a credit card with an institution you currently have a relationship with. It makes things a lot easier. They have your records already. They've seen your cash inflows and cash outflows, especially if you have direct deposit with the institution. That's kind of cool. This is really cool. Okay, and this is something you want to systematically and reflexively do. What I'm trying to say is you got to have a plan and you got to follow that plan. Okay, so understand your TransUnion score. You want to check out your you want to check out your Experian and Equifax score also. You want to actually filter the card issuers that pull TransUnion. You want to seek your eligibility. Next thing you need to do is you need to establish a relationship with the institution that you have chosen. Yeah, I know I've said this before, but I really want to drill this into you right now. It's important. A multi-product relationship. Okay, choose a card issuer that pulls TransUnion and build a relationship with them. I'm not just talking about a tiny ass relationship. I'm talking about a solid, deep, long-term relationship. Okay, obviously you don't want just to open an account and apply for a credit card right away. No. Okay, you want to wait 3 to 6 months. You want to establish yourself. You want to get a chance to beef up your relationship with them in terms of opening a checking account. You want to open a savings account. At least those two. We always say this on all our shows. It's important to have at least 2 accounts. If you want to strengthen your relationship with any bank or credit union, you need to have more than 1 account. Okay, and if you have more money and you want to park into, you can open a CD, a certificate of deposit. This is kind of cool also because it helps you actually have some extra cash just in case. You never know. Okay, you can also explore money market accounts. This could be a possibility. Okay, and IRAs also are kind of good. So depending on the institution you've chosen, you really need to beef up your relationship with them. Now, let me give you a few pro tips that we have seen in and out, time and again, work for a lot of folks for the last 30 years. You need to actually start your relationship at the branch. You want to actually go to a branch. You want to talk to someone. You want to ask them all questions about their credit products. In other words, as you're opening a checking account and a savings account, you want to talk to a rep about their credit products, not just credit cards. This could be lines of credit. This could be loans. Okay, you're just collecting intel. And you need to gather intel because what will happen here is that as you build up your relationship with them, and as you need a high limit credit card, then you want to apply at a branch. And it's always cool if you have already established their relationship. You've already had that first time impression, a positive impression with a rep at the branch. Okay, this is important. And the thing here is that we always say that credit is a relationship process. People believe that you can just wake up and because you have a high FICO score and you're making some money, you can actually just get approved for a credit card or a loan or line of credit. Yes, you could be, but most of the time it's all about establishing a relationship. It is a human affair. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are still having a conversation today about high limit credit cards that pull TransUnion. How do you get one fast with fair credit? Okay, you need to talk about your job history. You need to take care of that because it's important for the credit card issuer to know that you have a stable job history. Okay, and card issuers evaluate your employment based on your job history and also your income. This is where I was just talking to you earlier about when you establish your relationship with the card issuer, make sure that you have direct deposit. That way they can actually see how much money you're making, how often you're paid, and who your employer is. This trifecta is really important, okay? And they pay attention to your employment history. In other words, lenders want to see maybe 2 years of employment or 3 years of employment. But if you have 6 months or 3 months or 1 month, it is still possible to get qualified for a credit card. You just have to have the right amount, the right salary with them, okay? And also have the right deposit. Direct deposit is really important. It is quite essential, okay? So, and also, by the way, if you are self-employed, okay, and you can also actually prove your job history through the deposit that you're making. Okay. In other words, you have your 1099s. In that case, you want to actually show the card issuer your 1099s and also your tax returns, because if you are a sole proprietorship, you don't have a W-2, you don't have a regular pay stub, or you don't have you're not paid every 2 weeks, okay, or every month for that matter. But there are ways you can actually prove that you are actually you are making money, because that's the bottom line. You need to explain how you make money. How do you make money? Okay, if you are a traditional salaried employee who gets a W-2 tax form every year, I mean, you will have a much easier time verifying your income. But for other less stable income, lenders and credit card issuers usually need to see at least a 2-year history. And this could be your tax returns, this could be your bank statements for that matter, okay? But the bottom line is, if you have the right relationship with a card issuer, in other words, if you have a checking accounts and a savings accounts with them, they see your cash inflows and cash outflows, so they can actually estimate what kind of a credit-worthy applicants you are. Okay. The last thing I want you to pay attention to, boss, if you are trying to get a high limit credit card that pulls TransUnion, and you're trying to get a high limit credit card fast, you gotta really think about your liquidity. Oh yeah, boy, I'm telling you, you gotta increase your cash flows. Okay, it's not just about how much you're making, it's about how much you have as disposable income, indisposable income. The funny thing is, people make $500,000 a year and they just realize that they're broke. They have no cash to pay for groceries or whatever. Okay, it's not about how much you're making, it's about how much you're spending also. If you're making a lot of cash but you're spending a lot of cash, well, you know the drill. It's always about the delta between your expenses, between your income and your expenses. That's what we call your disposable income. Okay, and there are a lot of ways. So you want to be in a situation where you constantly increase your cash flows and you constantly reduce your cash outflows. Okay, the inflows must be more than your outflows. Okay, in other words, you want to actually live within your means. You actually want to lower your DTI, your debt to income ratio. Boss, are you listening to me here? I'm very serious about this. Okay, we got to be in a situation where we have to live within our means. We have to boost our income. I mean, boost income means what? Well, find a side gig or something to do from on the weekend, or something to do at home, trying to bring extra paper into the family's coffers. Oh yeah, Yeah, I mean, whatever you have to do, you have to do it. It's just what it is. You want to cut your expenses. Okay, I mean, start cooking at home. I mean, what's up with that? Always ordering, you have Uber Eats, or you have Grubhub, you have DoorDash. You're using your card all the time, and just no, no, no. Hey, stop doing that. I mean, you can do it once in a while, but don't be in a situation where you're just constantly you constantly dining out. No, cook at home. Find ways to reduce your expenses. Okay, I'm not picking on Uber Eats and Grubhub and DoorDash. I use them all the time myself. But you have to be in a situation where you cut your expenses, whatever expenses you can cut, if it is in food or whatever, or traveling or whatever. Try to find that. Pay off your existing debts with whatever extra cash you have. Okay, so, and you can always refinance your debt if possible. Okay, and you need to be in a situation where you plan for infrequent recurring expenses. Some expenses are recurring, but they are also infrequent. The thing here is that you need to have a budget, so you have a clear idea of those expenses that actually pop up once in a while, or those that pop up periodically. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I was just talking to you about high limit credit card that pulls TransUnion. How do you get a high limit credit card? Okay. We spoke about your TransUnion credit score, your regular FICO scores, the card issuers, eligibility, MPR, job history, and liquidity. Thank you so much for your attention. I will speak to you another time, but until then, remember, stay marvelous.